the first um, you know, light coming back into manifestation brings compassion when it comes from the absolute. And the first thing it meets is you, the manifested being, the way you manifest, because that's the most familiar object of thought in your consciousness. You call it I. That's the first thing where compassion hits. And then compassion gets broken because you don't approve of you. So you need to be very quiet when you come from self, because you will find a moment in which you're just looking at your personhood. And you can look, and you can look from with the eyes of compassion. And that day, when that happens, something will happen in your heart. A flower will open. And then you will realize, see, that manifestation is perfect as well, in its own imperfection, including your personality and your personhood. Your person is a miracle. And then you love it because you love the divine, and you love the divine manifesting in that way, you see. And you love the divine manifesting in that other way, and in that other way, and in that other way. You always love the same divine manifesting in those different ways, you see. And then you find that, but the first one is you. You can't have compassion for others if you don't have compassion for you. You can't accept others if you can't accept you. You can't love others if you can't love you. Yeah. You can't love others if you can't love you. Because others are you. It's the same thing. The others are you. And if you're not loving you, you're not loving others. It's just together. It works together. It's connected. And the moment you love you, you love others. The moment you love your personality, your peculiarity, your mistakes, your personality, your ignorance, your emotional inadequacy, your instability, whatever you call it, the moment you love it, something opens in it. And that something is new, because you've learned not to love it very young, from very young age. And you have that something is the first object that appears coming back from the absolute consciousness into the manifested world. The first object that appears is I. And it's the absolute I loving the relative I. See? It's the unpersonal I loving the personal I. The love I'm talking about. And this needs to be in order. You cannot just jump off and say, well, no, I'll leave me for later, because I'm a hopeless case. It doesn't work like that, because when you look out there, the moment you start getting to know people, they're also hopeless, all of them. You measure with the same stick. You measure it with the same stick. Others, the same stick you use to measure yourself, you measure others. So this is why what happens inside manifests outside. So these things need to be understood. These things need to be spoken about. These things need to be experienced if you're serious about freedom and truth. These things cannot just be a blind spot in the mirror. You need to understand, and you have the right to understand. that the way you're relating with yourself is the way you relate with the world. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So you need to understand the connection, the way you relate with you determines the way you relate with others and the world itself. So if there is a conflict there somewhere, there is something not easy, something not accepted, or that something is going to stay in your vision into the world. That's something. And you can always try to repair the world and change it, but the stain is in the eye. So you know, as if when you have your glasses dirty and you start cleaning all the house, and when you finish and you're very tired, you realize where your glasses were dirty because you still see the house dirty. Same happens with this self-awareness. You wanted to change yourself, you wanted to change the world, but you didn't want to change your perspective of looking at them. And if you look from pain and acceptance, you will see pain and acceptance out there. You will see it manifested in you. You will not tolerate in others what you don't tolerate in you. You will not love in others what you don't love in you. You see, and similar to what happens now that, you know, in this situation that we are all locked in houses to make sure we try to do our best for everyone. Some people go out and then somebody goes and say, hey, what are you doing out? They become police balcony, they call it now, balcony, police. You know, they just accuse others of doing what they would like to do and they don't allow themselves to do. And the same happens internally. If you're not free inside, people who are free will bother you somehow, because in one way or another, people who are free to change their minds or do other things you don't allow yourself to do, that something will make them unacceptable. You will not accept them because you don't accept that in you. And then you have to come to a very humble place in which you're human, and you have the right to exist, and you have the right to learn, and you have the right to make mistakes. And then you put everyone else at the same level. But if you don't give yourself the right, you don't give the right to anyone. You see, my dog agree. See? He is very excited with what I just said. Okay, and so it goes on, you see. So you start realizing that the outer is really an extension of the inner. That liberates you from having to deal with the out, at least. Stop changing others, stop changing the world, stop changing what you think is wrong for now. Get to know yourself, find some perspective. So the fact that we can't find the miracle, it doesn't mean it's not there. The fact that we can't see the miracle doesn't mean it's not there. So that's you know, comes from a heart that is familiar with the miracle, and even it forgives itself, because sometimes it doesn't see the miracle. It's okay, but it doesn't. It never stops loving it. That's devotion for you.